My guest today is Andrea Carter Brown. Andrea Carter Brown's new collection of award-winning poetry, September the 12th, was published for the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Her previous collections are Domestic Karma, The Disheveled Bed, and Brook and Rainbow, winner of the 2001 Sow's Ear Pressed Chapbook Prize. Her poems have won awards from 5 Points, River Styx, the MacGuffin, and the Poetry Society of America. They are cited in the Library of Congress online guide to the poetry of 9/11 and have been featured on NPR, Poetry Daily, and as Split This Rock Poem of the Week, a founding editor of Barrow Street and managing editor of the Emily Dickinson Journal. She's been series editor of the Wordsworth Washington Prize since 2017. An avid birder, she lives in Los Angeles, where she grows lemons, limes, oranges, and tangerines in her backyard.
We lived in an apartment a block from the World Trade Center, and I hadn't heard anything. I had no idea anything was going on. And but my sister, who lives in North Carolina, saw the plane go into the North Tower on TV on Good Morning America, of all crazy things. And she knew how close I was, and she heard the words that came out of her mouth even before hello are you okay? And of course I was okay. But the minute that I ran to the other end of the apartment and looked out the living room window, I saw the North Tower beyond on fire, sort of imploding from within. This was about 15 minutes after that plane had flown into the tower. So all of that stuff happened very quickly, and you knew something terrible had happened, but you didn't know what it was. And it wasn't until I got to Staten Island and was entering the berth in Staten Island that I could look back and see, well, see the tallest skyscrapers poking up through this enormous cloud of dust, and the World Trade Center was not there, and shorter towers were. And that was when I knew for sure that they had come down. Our apartment only had a lot of dust in it. I use that word only guardedly.
Yes, because when you write about the dust in your book, which you're going to give us a reading soon of the dust part, you say without doubt, without being told, that you know that dust was the remains of the thousands of people that disappeared that day. That really, I think, is what stopped me from sleeping. That's a powerful sentence.
Well, it felt like it was no longer our home. It felt like it was a sacred burial ground. And the dust was almost white. It was quite gritty, slightly greasy. It was an amalgam of many things, but the remains were in there. And many people, we lived in an apartment complex called Gateway Plaza, which on 9/10 had 5,500 people. When we finally moved back in spring of 2002, only 500 people moved back. And for almost a year, there were dumpsters parked at the bottom of the buildings, which filled up every day with the belongings that people had just abandoned. It was surreal. And on top of the gawking tourists, which I felt as a violation, to tell you the truth, I felt like it was hard enough to put one foot in front of the other and find new ways to go about my life. Because, of course, all of the normal patterns of where you buy things, how you get places, whom you can see, that was completely interrupted. it took until the following spring for a store to open within walking distance that sold food. The drugstore opened, and that was the first one to open. They were repeatedly looted. So I don't know, time went by, and it just became apparent that despite the boosterism of the economic interests and the government, that nothing was going to be the way it was. And when it was tenable again, it would be quite a long time. My husband at one point said to me, it's going to be 15 years. And I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. But in fact, it took 15 years for the new tower to get built and the memorial to get built.
I'd love it if you would pick a small part from your book, tell us what it is, and do a little reading for us.
Okay. I think that I will read the section about going back into our apartment and what we discovered. This is at the end of the second section. This takes place 4 days later on Saturday morning. We were ushered back under armed guard. We had 10 minutes in our apartment, and then we had to leave. Flashlights on, dust masks positioned over nose and mouth. We walk through the lobby, up 5 flights of stairs, and down dark hallways reeking of spoiled food. Inside the apartment, dirty white dust covers everything. The dust contains ashes of the thousands who vanished 4 mornings ago. We know this without being told. The dead now lie in our home, now cover every surface. They coat silverware, the runners on which drawers open and close. They sleep in book bindings. They seep between pages and underneath volumes packed tight on shelves. They find corners of closets where we haven't looked in years. Yes, the dead are with us, will always be with us. Our home has become theirs. We hesitate to disturb their final resting place. Leave them in peace, if there could be any. As for the living, I long to simply walk away, take nothing, and never come back.